Welcome to the Dermatology Voice of Authors. This is a video series produced by TalkMED and aims to interview leading authors in dermatology across the world. My name is Dr. Zenas Yiu. I'm a clinical senior lecturer and a consultant dermatologist based in the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom. And I'm delighted to be joined by Professor Carsten Flohr today. And we're going to be talking about a really interesting topic, which is the recent World Health Assembly adopted resolution, and also some of the ILDS initiatives around this. So before we get into the topic, Carsten, could I invite you to introduce yourself briefly?
Thank you, Zenas. Delighted to be on your podcast. I'm Carsten Flohr from King's College London, where I hold the chair in Dermatology and Population Health Science. I'm also a consultant dermatologist at Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital in London, and my main research interests are atopic dermatitis, global skin health, epidemiology, and improving evidence-based dermatology care internationally. And over the last decade, I've been involved in several international collaborations focused on understanding the burden of inflammatory skin diseases worldwide, particularly through the Global Atopic Dermatitis Atlas.
And I think you're the best person to interview for this because this is such an important announcement initiative. So why don't we start off by talking about the 78th World Health Assembly resolution. What does this resolution talk about, and why is this important?
Well, the recent World Health Assembly resolution is a very good example of how evidence, advocacy, and global collaboration around skin health can come together. It was the very first time that the World Health Organization and the World Health Assembly is the parliament, if you like, of the World Health Organization, has sent a very strong signal that skin diseases deserve policy attention, investment, and a coordinated action. Whereas, of course, over the decades, it's mainly been about tuberculosis, malaria, dengue fever, and other undoubtedly important infectious diseases. Dermatology has so far only featured on the World Health Organization agenda around the neglected tropical skin diseases. And it's really nice that WHO has now recognized it's about all skin diseases and that they pose an important burden on human health worldwide.
So, in terms of what this resolution actually changes, and in terms of what would be a success following this resolution, because this is obviously the start of this important conversation, what do you see would be success, maybe looking at this 10 years on from today?
Yeah, so what a World Health Assembly resolution means is that the World Health Organization has to put a global action plan together. And so I'm one of the authors of this global action plan, very much driven by the World Health Organization, but there are 3 or 4 dermatologists involved in this as well. We're essentially putting a global agenda together, what we need in terms of improved data collection, health surveillance systems, the educational piece, not just focusing on dermatologists, which are very often a rare species in middle and low income settings, but thinking very much about the primary healthcare level, so providing education to primary care physicians so that they can recognize skin diseases better, and how the World Health Organization with other partners can collect data in countries where we currently don't know very much about skin diseases at all. Once that global action plan has been published, that then goes to the nation states that are members of the World Health Organization, and they are meant to be implementing that global action plan. So, and this has only been possible through the World Health Assembly resolution last year.
Yeah, I think that's the implementation is absolutely the key here. That leads us on very nicely to the ILDS and the grand challenges in the Global Skin Health Initiative that was launched in 2015, and the great success of the 4 atlases where the ILDS is leading collecting data. Can I invite you, Carsten, just to talk briefly about this in terms of the 4 atlases and also the Global Skin Health Initiative?
Yeah, I mean, both really link in together. The World Health Assembly resolution came last year. The atlases have been around for a few years. In particular, the Global Psoriasis Atlas is now in its 10th year. But recognizing that one of the biggest challenges in global skin health historically is the lack of reliable epidemiological data. And if you cannot quantify a disease burden properly, it becomes extremely difficult to advocate for resources, influence policymakers, or improve services. And that is why the ILDS provides structured, internationally coordinated platforms for collecting and analyzing data on common skin diseases. So we have a psoriasis atlas I already mentioned, the global atopic dermatitis atlas that I lead, and then a global hidradenitis suppurativa atlas, as well as a vitiligo atlas as well. And each atlas focuses on understanding the epidemiology, the disease burden, healthcare inequities, and broader impacts of these conditions. And just to give you some examples, the global psoriasis atlas has demonstrated that at least 60 million people worldwide live with psoriasis. GISA, the hidradenitis atlas, is conducting prevalence surveys across 50 countries and 6 continents. So they have a really big a survey piece going, and that is through a very simplified questionnaire that is used in hospital settings, but where all patients coming into hospitals across the world are being screened for these questions, and then dermatologists, for those who are screened positive, will then do a physical examination. The vitiligo atlas is studying the quality of life impact of vitiligo and developing international consensus standards around measuring vitiligo severity. And then GADA, the atopic dermatitis atlas, is conducting a living systematic review of the burden of atopic dermatitis. We're also building a digital ecosystem for harmonized data collection in middle and low income settings, informed by an international consensus exercise that we ran in more than 60 countries across all continents. And once we've got robust data, you can then begin to show governments and health care systems that skin diseases are not minor cosmetic issues. They're major contributors to disability, stigma, mental health burden, work impairment, and healthcare costs. And this is something that was very much recognized as part of the World Health Assembly resolution last year.
Yeah, really, really important projects. So the name often can confuse people, because when you think about an atlas, you think about looking at a map, but these are not one-off data collections, but projects to collect this data. Well, what are the benefits of doing it this way rather than a short-term snapshot focus?
Yeah, I mean, things will change over time. Disease burden will potentially go up as people adopt a Western lifestyle. So again, I'm thinking about areas of the world where chronic diseases, and in that sense, psoriasis and atopic dermatitis, are just part of a lifestyle package, if you like, that very often drives inflammatory diseases. So thinking about rheumatological conditions or inflammatory, conditions that affect the heart, thinking about obesity, so many things so many diseases that are associated with lifestyle changes. And it's therefore important that we constantly monitor what is changing from that point of view. We are working very closely with the Global Burden of Disease Project, which in many ways has fulfilled that role internationally for several decades now. But skin diseases have not fed in very well when it comes to the GBD project. And that's something that we are also changing, working closely as the atlases and the global dermatoepidemiology community, not just with the World Health Organization in the wake of the World Health Assembly resolution, but also the Global Burden of Disease project that looks at not just the snapshot of disease burden at one time point across populations, but also it's very interested in looking at trends and how that might influence healthcare provider decision-making processes and sort of policy making by bodies like the World Health Organization.
Yeah, it's really important for these initiatives to try and fill the data gap. So I know that, Carsten, you're the lead for GADA and the AD Atlas, and I wonder, since it was started in 2024, are there any things that we have learned from the project in terms of the data that's already been collected out there, the kind of standardized data collection? What are the problems that are out there? And, if we're going to try and fill the gaps, how should we best do it to try and improve the picture, especially for AD?
Yeah, I mean, so the epidemiological data we have is not just about atopic dermatitis, but I think a lot of it applies to other skin diseases as well, are still quite limited and missing. That quite a few reasons. First, many countries simply don't have strong dermatology surveillance systems in place. I mean, one of the nice things that the World Health Organization has, and we're in the process of implementing this for the common skin diseases as well, a unified data collection platform where all countries that are part of this platform, over 200 countries across the world, feed in their data from the community level on the prevalence. So literally just the case counts and severity of identified skin diseases. And once that's in place, and we're hoping to have the first data on psoriasis, eczema, the other common inflammatory skin diseases and superficial cutaneous fungal infections, as well as the well-established neglected tropical skin diseases. We'll have that, that new piece of data by the end of the year. That will be really helpful through that World Health Organization platform. But generally, skin diseases are often not prioritized within broader public health agendas, despite being among the leading causes of non-fatal disease burden globally. There is substantial variability in diagnostic criteria, study methodologies, and data collection tools between countries, and that makes international comparisons very difficult. Mm-hmm. And then many low resource settings face competing healthcare priorities, workforce shortages, limited funding for epidemiological research. The list goes on. I mean, there's so many reasons why we currently have relatively limited data, but if we can work together globally across these different initiatives that I've mentioned, and maybe I should give a pitch to the Global Dermatology Forum as well, that you are part of, Zenas, where we've brought together the various stakeholders, the World Health Organization, the Global Burden of Disease Project, all the skin atlases and dermatoepidemiology experts from across the globe working together to make a difference in the way data is being collected, and hopefully putting further ignition into this now warmed up engine that the World Health Assembly resolution is providing.
Yeah, really important to kind of raise the profile. So my next question is I think will be interesting to the audience of this video, especially dermatologists in China. China is, as we know, one of the world's largest populations, and lots of people in China have skin disease. It's probably underrepresented in a lot of these data sources, and I wonder if there were Chinese dermatologists out there who want to contribute and want to try and collect data and help this process and get better data for China. How should they go about starting collecting this data?
It was really good to see that two Chinese colleagues are leading the Lancet Commission on Skin Health that was recently started with a broader group of experts internationally. But it was the Chinese colleagues who went to the Lancet and said, in the wake of the World Health Assembly, we really want to make a difference. We need to publish on what we know about skin diseases so far. And so the Chinese voice within that initiative will be strong. I'm sure the Global Dermatology Forum also has Chinese colleagues in our steering group, in the Global Atopic Dermatitis Atlas Steering Committee. Again, we have Chinese representation. As you say, China is it's a huge place, a really big population, and has got some phenomenal data sets. So using those Chinese data sets to look at the burden of skin diseases and then publish in high impact journals on the results would be really important.
Yeah, so hopefully there will be lots of listeners wanting to contribute and thinking about how they could also think about their local data as well. So that would be really great. So finally, we've talked a lot about the importance of these public health initiatives on a quite a global scale and on a population scale. And if we at the end of this interview now bring this back to the clinical implications, what does this all mean for dermatologists on the front line in the different countries around the world?
Well, one of the biggest lessons, I think, is that standardization is absolutely critical. So historically, just thinking about atopic dermatitis, studies on atopic dermatitis have used different diagnostic criteria, outcome measures and methodologies, making comparisons between countries very difficult. But if you can't compare study A with study B to then draw firm conclusions that really make a difference to patients and help decision making in clinical practice is difficult. ultimately, we really need to bring our patient voice into these initiatives as well, to make sure that whatever we look at, that the research priorities we're looking at reflect real world burden and quality of life impacts, and then in that sense, are reflected in clinical decision making in clinical practice. We need to make sure that it's not just high-flying dermatoepidemiology researchers discussing these things, collecting data, but whatever the data is that we are providing is clearly translated into messages that clinicians, patient organizations, and local healthcare teams can understand and can be translated into educational activities as well. I mean, this is one of the key aspects of the Global Action Plan that, as I said, has been written, has now gone out for international consultation through the nation states from the World Health Organization Central, that we want to create educational tools, especially targeting primary healthcare level, not necessarily dermatologists, because we know they are so rare as a species in middle and low income countries.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think this really highlights the importance of this, not only to the kind of public health section of dermatology, but also for individual dermatologists. So I think with that, I'd like to draw the interview to a close. Thank you so much, Carsten, for joining us. We've talked a lot about everything to do with dermatology, and I really hope that the Global Action Plan is going to make huge differences to people with skin diseases around the world. So thank you so much, Carsten, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Zenas, for the opportunity to talk about this, the topic close to my heart.